Hey guys, Cameron here, back with another Coffee Talk episode. And today I got a special guest for you, PJ from DPMS. He's been with the company a long time, but he's the one that spearheads our DPMS side of the division. So I want to thank PJ for coming on. So PJ, thanks for coming on the Coffee Talk,
Dude,
buddy.
Thanks for having me, bud.
Of
I
course,
appreciate
cheers.
it.
So PJ, known you a long time. I'd consider you a long friend of mine. So what brought you to Palmetto State Armory? Like, how did you even get here? Because you're originally from Georgia.
Yeah, from Marietta, Georgia, right outside Atlanta.
Are you a Braves fan?
I'm a huge Braves fan.
Well, I just want to
Massive.
say the Phillies had their number the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And at least you don't have to worry about Spencer Strider choking this year.
That's true.
So at least.
Thank goodness. But so I grew up in Marietta, grew up there, played baseball, really into sports, athletics, went to school at University of South Carolina
Nice.
in Columbia. And then kind of bounced around a little bit, worked for Under Armour for 6 years and
What'd you do there?
did some of their retail operations. So their store opening procedures, things like that. I help put SOPs in place for and got to open up a bunch of retail locations. They were up and coming then. So they were a new company. So it was pretty cool to be there at that ground level and,
That's awesome.
and to help push it through.
Yeah.
So
And did you go up to their headquarters? Were you up in Baltimore?
yep, lived up in Baltimore.
Were you
right-
by Inner Harbor?
I was in the Inner Harbor. Yeah, right there in Federal Hill. Yep.
Big aquarium guy over
Big
here.
aquarium guy, yeah.
Love the aquarium in
So
Inner
yeah,
Harbor.
I thought I was all tough coming from Atlanta, right?
Yeah, no.
Baltimore's a different story.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
moved back to Atlanta and started getting into financial planning, insurance. Thought that would be a fun way to go. Moved up to Columbia and then got recruited by Palmetto State Armory to come in.
Yeah. So what was your first job when you came into Palmetto State Armory?
So when I first came in, I was in our dealer sales division, which is wholesale, selling directly to FFLs.
Yep. Gotcha. So how did that transition happen then from when we acquired DPMS during the Remington bankruptcy to you kind of DPMS is your baby, right? Like,
It
I
is.
mean, you
Yep.
are DPMS, right? Like, Panther King,
That's right.
obviously the shirt, right?
Yeah.
So where did that come from? Because I know when we bought him and they brought him in, like, it was kind of like uncertainty about like what we were going to do with DPMS.
Correct.
And so like, how did that conversation even like begin? Like, how did you even start doing the DPMS side?
Yeah, so we sat down and tried to think about, all right, well, we got a company kind of does what PSA does.
Yeah.
A little bit different branding to it, a little bit different, more unique platforms with DPMS.
Yep.
But they've been around for a long, long time.
100%. The first AR I ever got was a DPMS, right? I mean, and I feel like that's a lot of the people that are the return customers
That's right.
are those guys that knew DPMS and knew what DPMS was for years, right?
And part of the slogan I kind of came up with and coined when we first got it is, hey, everyone's first AR is back. Because it's just that same thing.
100%.
I'm a big story guy. I like stories.
Yeah,
and I think you can, if you tell the right story, then it doesn't come across as salesy. You're just telling a story and people are going to latch on and assimilate to it.
Yep.
So that's kind of my big thing is I wanted to tell that story about, hey, the first AR you shot was probably your uncle's DPMS.
100%.
Or you might have, your dad might have had one, or you went out to the range with your buddies and got to shoot. And that was the first experience you had with that platform.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So obviously we talked about like it being similar to PSA, but DPMS is unique in a sense, right?
Yep.
So because you guys got some different style vibes, like the guns are a little bit different, right? Like, so what are you doing to keep DPMS at its core, what it was and what people know it as, that's going to be different than what PSA is?
So the first thing we decided to do when we acquired DPMS was PSA has a direct to consumer approach, right?
Yep.
So we wanted to go more of the distribution route. So DPMS product, you will not find it on the PSA website.
Yep.
We kind of did that intentionally.
Yep.
Some of our retail locations do carry product, but we wanted to have something that was geared towards the distribution wholesale market, and DPMS was the perfect product for that because that was the model that it was always under.
For sure. And it was always in those big box stores like
Correct.
the Cabela's, the Bass Pros, the Academies, and things like that for the longest time, right? That was like if you went into one of those retail stores, that's what was on the shelf.
Oh,
right?
yeah. And when I first started marketing, I was reaching out to people being like, hey, you want to carry DPMS? They're like, yeah, I still got a banner in the
That's
shop
awesome.
and I got, I still got all the marketing stuff. So yeah, bring it on in. So it was nice.
That's awesome. And so the nice thing about DPMS, and I really like how like you guys started this from the ground level is that this is a dealer specific product, right?
Correct.
Because it is protected by MAP.
Mhm.
It's not going to be blown out on like a daily deal or something like that. So
Right.
like we're trying to I know a lot of times in the conversation comes like because of who we are at Palmetto State Armory, we always have the best deals and stuff like that, right?
Right.
But
Naturally.
we also wanted to make sure that we took care of the local mom and pop gun stores, the bigger gun stores out there, and have them a product that they can, sell on their shelves.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to be, a price drop on one day or whatever when we, we're doing a daily deal, right? So I really like that mindset. So what has the feedback been from some of these guys? Like you said, like had a banner in the back office still. Like, what are they thinking of like us bringing this back and bringing it back to life here?
They were very excited, especially when JJE acquired it, which is the parent company for Palmetto State Armory and a bunch of other brands and divisions. But they were excited because they knew that we would have their best interests in mind. We knew that we'd make a quality product that we would stand behind and fix if there's anything, any issues whatsoever, we're going to take care of them.
Yeah.
And my parents were both small business owners growing up. So I watched them, have that mindset of every little thing matters. Like 100%. If you own a big company, you can sweep something off to the side.
Yeah.
If you're a small brick and mortar shop, I mean, you got to think you got rent, you got electricity, you got insurance you have to cover, especially for firearms.
Employees.
Yeah.
I mean, everything.
Everything. So when I was in dealer sales, that was my big thing. I wanted to tell that story of, hey, we're a value add. We're a partner with you. We understand what you go through. We want to make it easy for you. So on the DPMS side, we do have a direct to dealer website. Most of that's going to be parts and pieces, uppers and lowers that we offer through that. So if they need a BCG or they need just something basic, they don't have to try to hunt down a rep. They can go online and buy it direct.
And that's the nice thing about DPMS is that there is an actual website that these dealers, they sign up, they send their FFL. Like, does it cost them anything to sign up?
No, there's no minimum orders. There's no minimum dollar amount. We basically can get you signed up. If you go to dpmsinc.com, there's a register link. You click on it, and then you just basically submit your FFL. I personally actually approve every dealer.
That's awesome.
So when they come through, it pulls up in my inbox. I go through, review everything, approve them, and then you can log in and start ordering directly. But consumers cannot order from the website. All they're going to see is MSRP.
And it's only dealers, right? But again, going back to the point, there's a lot of times like, especially now with like, being in the summer, right? The firearms market's slow. People are going on vacation, right? And so there's not like a minimum order where somebody has to go on there and like, you have to spend X amount. You have to do this. Like if they only want a couple BCGs to have on their shelves, like they can do that. Right. And that's what the nice thing is about DPMS is that the thought process behind it is trying to take care of everyone, right? You don't have to be this big time distribution model. You could be the mom and pop shops, right? You can do this stuff and we could still provide you the freedom that you want on your shelf, but there's no minimum dollar value, right? There's no minimum order value with it, right? And so, and the DPMS name is such an iconic name and a brand that people know it and people like see it, right? So like, what are you doing to bring back some of those old iconic firearms that people knew and loved about DPMS?
So what we're working on right now and we should have out shortly is the Kitty Cat, which is a classic DPMS gun. It was originally made as an SBR configuration for law enforcement. A little 7.5 inch 5.56 barrel with a car 15.
A little spicy boy.
Yeah. And then it had the old school C7 carry handle on it. Just very classic look. So when we acquired DPMS, I was doing my research and kind of looking up some of their old stuff because in the beginning, all I was doing was just marketing. I was, hey, find a marketing direction for this and figure it out. So I went and looked at their old catalog and I picked out some guns that were appealing to me and the Kitty Cat jumped out. It was just
100%.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's badass looking.
Yeah. So we have that one coming out in its original configuration. We actually designed a braced unit. We're sharing that with H&R, who is one of our sister companies that we work with. And so we're excited to have that coming out. We're also working on the G2 platform.
That's awesome.
Which was an AR-10 platform, shrunk down, condensed, lightweight. So we'll have that coming out soon. And then we're also going to be bringing out the original LR308.
That's awesome.
Which was kind of one of the standards.
100%. Because they were the first ones to come out with it. And, the nice thing about the LR308, we actually got the engineer on our staff now that designed it, right? And so that's really cool to have somebody that was a part of it. because he worked at DPMS back in like 2002.
Yeah.
And which is crazy to think about, but he's a part of our team now on the engineering team. So it's good to have that resource there. Right.
Oh,
and be able to, have someone like him that knows the ins and outs of what DPMS used to be to help kind of keep spearheading back. Right.
Yep.
So you talked about bringing out some of the old stuff, right? Now, I know some of the catalog you have is some newer stuff, right? It's new DPMS style, like, it's a DPMS brand, but it's like some of the newer stuff. So, obviously technology and things have changed and different styles have changed over the years. So like, talk to me through like what your thought is on why we have our catalog the way we have our catalog.
So, I mean, some of the old school stuff that DPMS did is kind of nostalgic, but if we were to put it out there, a lot of people even back then would change some of the components or configuration around.
For sure.
So what we do is we kind of took some of the classic setups and platforms that they used and just modernized them, updated them for new accessories. Back then, they didn't have all the accessories they have now.
Well, exactly, absolutely. And so, like, back then, like, even some of them were like, a key mod, right? And now it's M-Lock, right? So, but the rails look similar, right? You took some of the, you really sat there and thought about what you were doing with the gun because the overall aesthetic of the gun kind of looks the same vibe wise, but like it gives it the new age flavor, right? M-Locks instead of key mod, right? Like, there's different things that you've done with that side of things. But like, it's really cool to see, especially like the kitty cat, right? It's coming back and that's really cool. You just showed it to me yesterday. I was like, holy crap, this is awesome, right?
Yeah.
But it's
excited
really,
about it.
It's really cool to see that like the market is like coming back around with, what we're doing on H&R with the retro, the carry handle stuff. It's really cool to kind of see that coming back around. So it kind of plays into you trying to bring back the older DPMS catalog, right? It's almost like perfect timing. It's like a perfect storm of it to come back around, right? And so where do you see, like, what are your vision on like where you're heading and what you're trying to achieve with DPMS in the next, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? Like, where do you see that going?
So we released at SHOT Show. We actually had our kind of final rendition of the handgun that's going to be coming out.
Nice.
The Panther pistol, or the PP9, as I've been calling it. And so we have that coming out shortly.
Yep.
I'm excited about getting that into, because DPMS has never been in the handgun space at all.
For sure.
So it'll be pretty cool to have that coming out. And really going forward, we just want to really lean on that story of, hey, everyone's first AR is back, and you see, like you said, some stuff that has some nostalgia to it. You see the handguard. Oh, it's got the bullet holes going across the top, but now it's M-Lock and it's lightweight and it goes on a, nicer, easier lockup system.
For sure.
So we want to take some of the aesthetics because they were really cool. They were onto something.
Yeah, no, 100%. They were like the leaders on that almost, right? Like, I mean, they were like in the beginning on the ground level of this, craze, right? And so, the AR-15 push and like what we're doing today, like even, some of the stuff we do on the PSA side kind of goes back to what they did on DPMS, right? I mean, people are making DPMS patterned guns today for the 308 line because of the foundation that DPMS started. And it worked, exactly. And it's cool to see, because a lot of people were disappointed when the whole bankruptcy happened, like, and what was going on with DPMS when Remington acquired them. And now it's like kind of like, okay, we're bringing this back to life. We're giving a new age flavor. Obviously, you got the Panther shirt on, right? Like, it's not just the old school Panther anymore. There's been a little bit of a logo change, on some of the stuff you've been working on, but it's also like it's going back to the times of what we're trying to modernize and kind of keep pushing forward and going forward on that front, right? So what do you see like on the dealer side that some of the appreciation? I know we touched base on them being able to buy this stuff, but I know you're like this Panther pistol you're coming out with, right? That whole goal of that is to be able to provide them a quality pistol at an affordable price, right? Like, I mean, what are you doing on the Panther pistol side to bring that to the dealers next?
So with that product, what we're really focusing on is giving them strong margin, because everyone knows, well, not everyone knows, but in handguns particularly, you don't tend to have a whole lot of margin.
Yeah, for sure.
They're lower price points and they're not, they're more volume movers as opposed to, high volume or high margin. So on that one, we're really trying to get them an aggressive price point where they know, hey, everyone that goes out the door, I've got this much in it, and here's what I'm making. We really want to protect that, so they won't have direct competition with a lot of the large online companies that can, it's tough in their sphere, because I was in the dealer sales department. So I would, turn around and sell them something and then I mean, everyone knows PSA has the best deals.
Yeah, for sure.
The emails are just the worst, even when I work there, because
100%. Yeah.
they comes in and I'm like, I gotta buy that.
Yeah, 100%. There's so many times I'm sitting there on lunch and I see the email come across. I'm like, oh, well, now I gotta go buy this.
I'm like, that's better than my employee price.
100%.
I gotta buy it.
Yeah.
So it's gotten me.
Yeah.
So I really wanted something out there that was a great value, but they knew that their money and their investment they put into it would show a consistent return.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's really what we're looking for in this pistol. We're not going to have 100 different models. We're going to keep it very, streamlined.
Yep.
Have some very, affordable, like your basic model that's going to be standard slide,
Yep.
non-threaded barrel, and then we'll have an addition that's going to be a little more upgraded with the slide cut for an RMR.
Yep.
Threaded barrel.
Yeah.
So that we're going to keep it pretty simple. We have partnered with some really cool companies to offer kind of some collaborations and kits. So from different distributors, different offerings, you might get, a special range bag, or you might get a holster that goes with it, different things like that. So out of the box, you can take it to the range, be ready to go. Or that's kind of what we're going for.
So on the Panther pistol, though, because I feel like, the way that you worked on it and you worked on it with the engineering team, so it's compatible with a lot of stuff on the market, right?
Yeah, it is. So what we wanted to do is we're thinking, what is the most compatible product in the handgun space? And obviously, the G word comes to mind.
Yeah, 100%.
And so we're looking at it and we're like, well, you know what? A lot of these so-called clones are things that are compatible with that platform. They don't work with the holsters.
Yeah.
There's certain things that they don't work with. So we wanted something that had its own look and feel, but would still work with a holster, would still take the same magazine, was interchangeable with barrels, guide rods, optics, that kind of thing. So that was kind of a task, and it took us a while.
Yeah, for sure. Because I remember seeing it, not this past year, but the year before at SHOT Show, right? Yeah. That was like the first prototype
3D
of it.
printed. Yeah, that was a hard proto.
Yeah, a hard proto. Yeah, and we, obviously there's rare iterations and things happen. You got to do some retooling, and tooling, takes forever to change, right? So things happen. But the nice thing about the Panther pistol, and I think this is the biggest selling point to me that I really love about it, is that if I have a holster at home, you don't need to go buy another holster, right? It's compatible, right? And that is like one of the coolest things about this. And you said like drop-in accessories and things like that, like all that stuff, it makes a difference, right? Because a lot of the guys that are going out there and buying some of these Glocks and some of these other handguns, they have holsters, they have extra stuff at home, right? Well, hey, here's a new handgun. You just buy it and you put it in, you're ready to rock, right? Yeah. And that's a big deal. Yeah. It's really awesome to see.
And when you release a new gun, a lot of people don't know, but it has to have its own holster, has to have its own molds made. So you're sitting there going to all the major companies being like, hey, I'll get you a demo to make your molds out of. Yeah. With this one, they're like, we need a Panther pistol so we can get a mold. It's like, you got a Glock 19 mold?
Yeah. It fits.
Cool.
Yeah, it fits. No, that's awesome. That's awesome to see. So you obviously got the Panther pistol coming out very, very soon, right? And then you also got the Kitty Cat coming out very, very soon. So that's really cool to see. What other, any new exciting? I mean, I know you said the G2, that's being in development right now. Yeah. So what else, where are we heading with this stuff?
So we're going to be kind of looking long range. We've been kind of batting around the idea of getting maybe into like a bolt gun type setup. Yep. More of a single shot. We also have kind of batted around the idea of maybe looking in the shotgun space. Yep. Doing something on that sphere. But right now, we really just want to get these classic, iconic platforms back out there.
The market, yeah.
I get so many phone calls and Facebook messages because I run all the social media as well. So I get a lot of messages saying, hey, my LR308 I need a new firing pin. What can I do? And I'm like, well, we're almost there.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
It's really, not only are we going to release these iconic guns, but we're going to be able to offer the ones that are already out in the market.
Yeah. You got to have the support. Yeah. You have to have the support there. Right. And that's a big thing. And that goes back to like who you are. Like, I know you as a person, so, I can say this, but like that goes back to who you are as a person. Like, it's not just about, this or that, but you're also trying to make sure that you encompass everything, right? You're trying to really think about and thought out of what is happening and what you need and the questions, and you're taking the feedback and you're reacting to it, which is really, really cool, to see from my point of view that someone cares that much about the product to see them being involved with it on that front of things.
Yeah.
So it's really, really cool. You've done a great job with DPMS. I love the direction it's heading. Like I said, again, it was my first AR I've ever had. So to see it coming back to life, and like I walk through the shop and I see the boxes and I see the guns being worked on and stuff like that. I'm like, this is actually like, it's like cool. Iconic to see and it's fun to see. So I have to ask you one other thing.
What you got?
You're a big pinball guy, aren't you?
I love pinball. Yes.
How did you even like where does that come from?
So I grew up actually playing pinball. My dad was not necessarily crazy into it, but we would go down to the beach to visit my grandparents. They lived down in Panama City, Florida. And they had a killer arcade there. So we go in there and we just got into pinball. So I always had played it off and on. And then recently, my neighbor, who is a really good friend of mine, he owns a tattoo studio in Colombia.
Okay.
And so he's the one that did my famous Panther tattoo on my leg.
Yeah, by the way, he's got a DPMS Panther tattoo on his leg. And if you want to see it, check out DPMS on Instagram and you can see a tattoo. This man lives and dies DPMS.
Or Panther King actual too. It's on
Panther
there.
King. Yeah, the mullet. Yeah.
Yeah. So but he started getting into pinball, the place where we go a lot and hang out. They had pinball machines. So we started playing, and then we found this whole subculture. It's very, I mean, I guess with anything, there's a subculture, right?
For sure.
You can go down a rabbit hole.
It's like the Reddit of pinball world.
It's wild. So we kind of just, in the beginning, it was kind of a joke, but not really. I mean, we just enjoyed playing and hanging out. We started making friends. And then next thing you know, I'm like going to tournaments. And
you're going to pinball tournaments?
I'm in a league. And it's intense, man. So it's been fun. And then when we went to NRA, we went to that huge arcade.
Dude, that arcade at NRA show. I mean, I wish we had a camera crew following us around because that was probably one of the most fun nights I've ever had in my life. All you can play arcade?
Yeah.
Like, get out of here, right?
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Cool.
That was awesome.
But yeah, I don't really know how it became this big thing. But yeah, it started out just me and my neighbor kind of playing. And now he lives right down the road from me. He gets machines rotated in and out of his house. So he'll be like, dude, I got the new Deadpool game. Come down and play. So I'll just walk down the hill and get to play pinball. So.
That's awesome. Good for you. Well, PJ, thanks for coming on the Coffee Talk. I really appreciate it. Talking about DPMS. Where do people go to check out DPMS?
Yeah. So if you want to go to the website is dpmsinc.com. We also have a Facebook page. Instagram is DPMS_Inc. And then you can kind of see some of our new offerings. And we're starting up a YouTube page as well. That'll just be under DPMS Inc. on YouTube. So they can check all those out. And then if you want to do deep dive, again, Panther King _actual, you can get some good exclusive stuff there too.
Yeah, the mullet comes out on there, guys.
That's true.
That's awesome.
And the Pit Vipers.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thanks for coming on, PJ, again. I appreciate you coming on, talking all things DPMS. If there's anything else you guys want to check out or hear about within the JGE umbrella or anybody you want us to bring on interview, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment below. Let us know. Thanks again.